Okay, so we're going to be looking now at the International System of Units, or System International, which is where SI comes from. The unit system is essentially what we use here in Canada and actually most parts of the world. It's called the metric system. So we're just going to go through what is the different metric system units for different items that are going to be used throughout this course, and actually other branches of science as well. So anytime you are dealing with a quantitative number, so remember, or I should say observation, so something that includes a number, you should have the number as well as the scale that is being used, or the unit. So for example, if I were to just say 20, okay, that doesn't really tell us any information. Is that 20 pencils, or 20 grams, or 20 candles, or 20 centimeters? So you have to include the unit as well. So you don't have to write out the full word. Usually we have a symbol that represents that unit of measurement. So 20 grams with a lowercase g, right? And this can even be units of time, right? So 60 seconds or 25 minutes, right? You have a number and you have a unit associated with that number. Now, there are some numbers that actually don't have units. They're not as common. For example, the pH scale that you probably saw in grade 10, or you may have heard of the pH scale. The pH scale is actually unitless. So when we say a pH of 2.5, there actually is no unit that is associated with the pH. But those are very rare. If that comes up, obviously, you're going to be notified. But I'd say, 97% of the numbers we're going to be working with are going to have units involved. So the International System for Units, again, so as I mentioned, the metric system is what we follow. And actually pretty much everywhere in the world follows this, except for countries that follow the imperial system. So I'll give you an example. So in Canada or Europe or Australia, when we discuss mass, usually we discuss mass in terms of grams or kilograms. However, if you've traveled to the United States, or if you know anything about the imperial system, you may know that mass is involving pounds and tons or ounces, right? So we use grams, kilograms, right? Milligrams. So we are always obviously going to be referencing the metric system in the numbers we are dealing with here. So length or distance, right? So we're dealing with meters. Time is seconds. Temperature is Kelvin. So we'll get to this much later in the course. So degrees Celsius is kind of the accepted method for temperature. However, Kelvin is the international unit of temperature. So don't worry about this right now. We will get to this later on. Electric current is the ampere or amps. Amount of a substance is a mole. We will be learning that later on in Unit 3. Luminous intensity is a candela. So some of these we will be using, some of them not. I just wanted to give you some examples of the units that are used internationally for different quantities. Now, prefixes that are going to be common that we will be seeing. So you've seen these before anytime you learn about measurements, right? So we have a kilo, a deci, a centi, milli, and a micro. So these are prefixes that are attached to the unit, right? So you can have like centi and then a centimeter, a millimeter, a kilometer, or a meter. So you add the prefix to whatever the actual unit happens to be. There is also another one that we will be using that is actually larger than kilo, that is a mega, which is a capital M. That is actually 10 to the positive 6. Okay, and we'll look at examples with that in a bit. So here are the metric conversions. So the base unit here refers to the original unit without any prefixes. So for example, a gram, I put here a gram, a meter, and a liter. So we have mass, we have units of distance, and we have units of volume. So these are the three that we will be using, I guess, most often that you'll come across. But this could be anything, right? So over here you could have amperes. Over here you can have, any of the ones that we looked at over here, right? So when you're looking at this, you're looking at just the change in the prefix. So we have deci, centi, milli, and if you remember, there was also micro that I'm going to add to this, that is 10 to the negative 6. And over here we had 10 to the positive 6, which was our mega. So just be mindful that when you're moving to the left or to the right, they are increments of 1, except when you're doing from milli to micro, it's really 3 jumps. So there's really 3 jumps in between here, and same thing up here. So it's like 1, 2, 3, and then another 3 jumps. I'm not really going to include any of the other ones in between because we're not going to be using those for the most part. Okay, so let's take a look at how we would go about doing this. So we are going to do some examples together, and then I'll have you try some out on your own. So here we're going to convert 18 liters into, we want milliliters. Okay, so liters is a base unit, and we want to go to milli. So what we would be doing is essentially looking at this track here to help you. Each movement on this track is like a movement of the decimal point. So if you are going towards the right, that means our decimal point will move towards the right. If we are going to the left, that means we are moving the decimal to the left. But keep in mind, right, there is those other ones that I had written down, but this would be 3 movements. That's what I had meant by that. So 10 to positive 6 was mega. All right, so there would be 3 movements here, right? It'd be like 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 18 liters. So imagine the decimal point is there. We're going to move it 3 times to the right to get to milli. So you would then fill in that spot with 0. So 1, 2, 3. So really 18 liters is 18,000 milliliters. So converting 450 milligrams to grams. So now we're starting at this point and we want to work backwards. So we would be moving our decimal point to the left 1, 2, 3 times. So the decimal point is here. So it'd be 1, 2, 3. So 450 milligrams would actually equal, right, 1, 2, 3, 0.450 grams. Hopefully that makes sense of how to use that. All right, so here we have 20 kilograms. So we're starting here, and actually we want to go all the way down to milligrams. So in this case, we would have to move the decimal point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So here are 20 kilograms, right? You would have to move this over 6 times. So we would have 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We would obviously fill that in with a bunch of zeros. So what do we got here? We got 20 million. Milligrams, right? Does that make sense? Right, let's double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. Okay, so before I have you do some practice, we'll do one more that involves, let's say, a microgram. Let's, a second here. Okay, so let's change this question up. We'll just do this kind of on the fly. Let's say we had 20 milligrams and we want to go to micrograms. Just as another example, example 4. So 20 milligrams would be starting here. And remember, we would be doing micro, which is 3 movements to the right. So 20 milligrams would really be 20, 1, 2, 3 micrograms, right? So your decimal was here originally, 1, 2, 3. So it works in the same way. It's just when you're on this last step, it's a 3 jump. Same thing over here when you're dealing with the mega prefix. Okay. One other thing that you'll need to know before you do the homework that's associated with this is sometimes you will see 1 with a T. So that's representing 1 ton. That is approximately 1,000 kilograms. Okay, so 1 ton is actually equal to 1 megagram. Okay, so I believe there is a question in your homework or the worksheets. You will see this just so that you are aware. That is equivalent to a megagram. Okay, so we're going to have some that I'd like you to try practicing. And what I'm going to have you do is essentially pause the video at each point, give it a try, and then continue playing the video and just check to see how you did. So problem 1, convert 400 milliliters to liters. All right, so I'll pause the video, give that a shot, and then continue on, okay? Okay, so 400 milliliters to liters, you should have 0.4 liters. So the decimal point will move over 1, 2, 3 times to the left. Please make sure you put the unit. If there's ever a time, so as we're going through this course, we're going to be doing many calculations involving numbers. You must have your units shown every time. 10 meters to millimeters. Again, pause the video, give this a shot. Okay, so your answer here, you should get 10,000 millimeters. Right, so meters going to milli would be 3 movements to the right, 1, 2, 3, so you get 10,000. Okay, 73 grams to kilograms. Pause the video. Okay, so you should end up getting 0.073 kilograms. So from grams to kilograms, it's 3 movements to the left. Okay, again, pause the video. So here we should have going from the prefix kilo, so kilometer, to meter, you should end up having 3 movements to the right. So we should get 20 meters. So remember, originally it was here, 1, 2, 3. 20 centimeters to meters. Please give this a try. Pause the video. Okay, so here you should get 0.20 meters, right? So in this case, you have to move the decimal point to the left 2 times, from centimeters to meters. 10 kilograms to grams. Pause the video, give it a try. So here you should actually have 10,000 grams. So kilograms to grams, you're moving it to the right 3 times. So here we have 5.2 kilograms to milligrams. Give that a try. Okay, so here you should have moved the decimal point 6 times to the right. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just to double check. So you should have, what is this here? 5,200,000 milligrams. And then for our last one, you're probably going to need a little bit of help because this is our first time discussing this. When you're looking at volume, sometimes volume is referred to in cubic distance with the cubic area. I should say it's actually in units of area. So, for example, if I have a square box and I want to know the volume inside of this, right? Let's say it's 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters. The unit would be centimeters cubed. So just so you know a general rule, 1 milliliter is equivalent to 1 centimeter cubed for water. Okay, I do have to make the note that this is for water only. Okay, so anytime you are working with this type of unit conversion, it is assumed to be water. You may come across this as well. 1 liter is equal to 1 meter cubed. Okay, so same thing again, it is for water only. So in this case, it's actually very straightforward now that we've said that. For problem number 8, it's going to be 175 centimeters cubed, which is equal to the milliliter component. Okay, so hopefully that helped you with unit conversions. Please keep this in mind when we have to go moving forward and we do need to convert any units.